Hello, and welcome to today's podcast. In today's episode, I'm going to share my story of how I learned to speak English fluently in just 6 months. Now, I know this might sound like a big challenge, but I'm here to tell you that it's possible with the right mindset and strategies. I'm going to talk about the steps I took and the methods I used, which helped me go from a beginner to speaking English confidently in just half a year. If you follow these steps, I'm sure you can improve your English too. 1. Start with the basics. When I first started learning English, I knew that I needed to build a strong foundation. I didn't focus on complicated grammar rules or long words. Instead, I started with the basics. I learned simple greetings like, "Hello, how are you? And what's your name?" These phrases were easy to remember and helped me start using English immediately. I also learned the alphabet, numbers, and other simple words that I could use in daily conversations. Starting with the basics is key because it helps you feel confident right away. Once you can say a few words and phrases, you feel motivated to learn more. So, begin with simple words, and as you get more comfortable, you can add more to your vocabulary. 2. Practice every day. One of the most important things I did was to practice English every day. At first, I only practiced for 10 to 15 minutes each day, but I made sure it was a daily habit. It doesn't matter if you practice for 10 minutes or 1 hour, as long as you practice every single day. I practiced listening to podcasts, watching TV shows, and reading simple books in English. The more I practiced, the more natural the language started to feel. Consistency is key to improving, so try to set aside time for English practice every day, even if it's just for a few minutes. Over time, it will become easier. 3. Surround yourself with English. If you want to learn English quickly, you have to surround yourself with the language. I made English a part of my daily life. I changed the language on my phone and social media to English. I also watched movies, listened to music, and read books in English. By surrounding myself with English, I was constantly hearing and seeing the language. Even if I didn't understand everything at first, I was still getting used to how English sounds and how words are used. The more you expose yourself to English, the faster you will learn. 4. Speak as much as possible. When I started learning, I was afraid of making mistakes when speaking, but I quickly learned that the best way to improve speaking is to actually speak. So, I started speaking English as much as possible. I practiced with friends, used language exchange apps, and even spoke to myself in English. At first, it was difficult, but the more I spoke, the more confident I became. I didn't worry about making mistakes. I just kept talking. If you don't speak, you won't improve. So, speak as often as you can, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. They are part of the learning process. 5. Use simple English in daily conversations. One thing I did to improve quickly was to use simple English in my daily conversations. I didn't wait until I knew advanced grammar to start speaking. I used the simple words and phrases I had learned, and that helped me start speaking right away. For example, instead of waiting until I knew the perfect sentence, I would say things like, "I'm going to the store," or "I like this movie." The more I practiced using simple sentences, the more comfortable I became. If you wait until you know everything, you'll never speak. Start with simple phrases and build on that. 6. Listen to English. Every day, listening to English is one of the best ways to improve your speaking. When I started, I listened to podcasts, songs, and TV shows in English every day. At first, I didn't understand everything, but over time, I got better. Listening helps you get used to how native speakers talk, how words are pronounced, and how sentences are formed. Start by listening to slow English, like podcasts or shows for beginners. As you get better, you can move on to faster content. Listen to English, even if you don't understand every word. The more you listen, the more you will improve. 7. Learn new words every day. To improve my English, quickly, I made it a goal to learn 5 new words every day. These words could be anything: a new word I heard in a podcast, a word I read in a book, or a phrase I learned from a TV show. By learning new words every day, I expanded my vocabulary quickly. I would write the words down in a notebook, and I practiced using them in sentences. I also used flashcards to review the words I learned. The more words you know, the more easily you can express yourself. So, make a habit of learning new words each day and practice using them in real conversations. 8. Watch English movies and TV shows. One of the best ways to learn English is by watching movies and TV shows in English. This helped me improve my listening and speaking skills. When I started, I watched simple cartoons like Peppa Pig because the language was easy to understand. Later, I moved on to movies and TV shows for older kids and adults. When you watch shows or movies, try to pay attention to how the characters speak. Notice their pronunciation, intonation, how the voice rises and falls, and how they stress certain words. You can also use subtitles at first to help you understand, and then challenge yourself to watch without them as you get better. 9. Stay consistent and don't give up. If you want to learn English quickly, you need to stay consistent. I know that learning a new language can feel slow at times, but the key is not to give up. Even when I felt frustrated, I kept practicing every day. I would set small goals for myself, like being able to hold a 5-minute conversation or understand a podcast. Every time I reached a goal, I felt more motivated to keep going. Keep a positive mindset and remember that learning takes time. Stay patient and keep practicing. 10. Be confident and have fun. Finally, the most important thing I did was to be confident and have fun. Learning English is a journey, and it's important to enjoy the process. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. They help you learn. Speak as much as you can, listen to English every day, and have fun with it. Whether it's watching movies, listening to music, or chatting with friends, make learning English enjoyable. The more fun you have, the easier it will be to learn. 11th, learn from your mistakes. One thing that really helped me during my learning process was learning from my mistakes. In the beginning, I was afraid of making mistakes when speaking English, but over time, I realized that mistakes are an important part of learning. Every time I made a mistake, I took it as a lesson. I would remember the mistake and try not to make it again. If I couldn't understand something, I would ask for help. Every mistake I made helped me improve. So, if you make mistakes, don't worry. It's normal. The key is to learn from them and keep improving. 12th, set clear and realistic goals. When I was learning English, I set clear and realistic goals for myself. Instead of saying, I want to speak perfect English, I broke it down into smaller, more manageable goals. For example, I would set a goal to learn 10 new words each week, or to understand a 10-minute podcast by the end of the month. These small goals helped me stay motivated and made me feel like I was always making progress. It's important to have clear goals so that you know what you're working toward and can celebrate when you achieve them. 13. Use English in your everyday life. Another tip I would give is to use English in your everyday life. Don't wait for perfect moments to practice. You can use English when you're cooking, cleaning, or even shopping. For example, when I went grocery shopping, I would practice saying the names of the items in English as I put them in the cart. This helped me remember new vocabulary and gave me more chances to practice speaking. The more you use English in real-life situations, the more comfortable and fluent you will become. 14. Don't be afraid to ask for help. A big part of learning quickly is asking for help. When I didn't understand something, I wasn't afraid to ask someone to explain it to me. I would ask native speakers, teachers, or even online language partners to help me when I was confused. Asking for help also helped me avoid making the same mistake over and over again. Don't be afraid to ask questions. This is a great way to learn and get better at English. 15. Practice thinking in English. One of the most effective things I did was to practice thinking in English. At first, I would think in my native language and translate everything into English. But I quickly realized that thinking in English is much faster and more natural. I started practicing by thinking about my day in English, imagining conversations in my head, and planning my day in English. This helped me speak faster and more fluently, without needing to translate every word. It may feel strange at first, but it will help you think and speak in English more easily over time. So, that's how I learned to speak English fluently in just 6 months. I practiced every day, surrounded myself with English, spoke as much as possible, and learned new words regularly. It wasn't always easy, but with consistency and a positive attitude, I made quick progress. I hope these tips help you in your own English journey. Keep practicing, stay confident, and most importantly, have fun. Thanks for listening to today's episode. Good luck with your learning, and I'll see you in the next podcast.